Hello, and welcome back to the world of Wysteria. We will now conclude chapter 37 with part 2. Well, the coast looks clear, said Emily. From both Charlotte and Jeremy, it was all good news, in the sense that there was none. Yes, so far, Will replied. If we don't hear anything in a few days. What's a few, she wanted to know. 3? 3 or 4, he said. She muttered. Does today count? Will laughed and kissed her pouting lips. No, he answered, adding, and neither does the day we leave. Judging from Emily's expression, that was going to be her next question. But I have a surprise for you, he told her. Another trip of sorts. A trip? To where? The sun's starting to set, he said. Let's go sit on the balcony. So, this trip, said Emily, as the sun left his world and dusk settled in. I was thinking, he said, putting his arm around her. Here we are, preparing to visit other worlds, while there are still so many areas of Wysteria that we haven't explored. You're not changing your mind, are you? She said uneasily. No, he assured her. But there is a place I'd like to visit first. Okay, she said. Where? The other side of the canyon. I do want to go there sometime, said Will. But that's not what I had in mind. I thought tonight we would travel to your world. She looked at him, confused. My world? Will stood up and helped Emily to her feet. Yes, your world, he said, turning to face the moon, which was just now cresting the horizon. You want to go to the moon? She asked him. Tonight? Yes, he answered. You're serious, she said, eyeing him suspiciously. You actually want to jump to the moon? Well, I wasn't planning to leap there, he replied. And since it is a part of this world, it really wouldn't be a jump, just a long skip, right? Emily now seemed to understand that he was serious. She looked at the moon, then back at him and laughed. Okay, she said. Do you think you can steer us there? Will thought for a moment as he focused his vision, zooming in on a pale gray region near the center of the glowing sphere. Yes, he said, I believe so. Will we be able to breathe? I think I can arrange that, he said with a chuckle. He then pointed out a slightly darker area he decided to aim for. I can't believe we're doing this, she said, giddily, as they began their standard pre-flight routine. With their eyes closed, Emily gave his hand a squeeze, signaling she was ready. Then she took them into the dark. It was hard to say whether they'd hit their intended mark, but when Will opened his eyes, it was clear they were no longer on the same planet. Wow, said Emily, looking around her at the foreign, monochromatic landscape. It's so quiet. Dead silent, in fact. and absolutely still. "Look," he said, staring up into the velvety black sky. "Is that Wysteria?" she asked. "Yes," he answered. Though twice the size of the moon, it still looks small set against the vast expanse of star-laced darkness. Will saw that his world, unlike the predominantly blue earth, had small oceans separating much larger continents, which were almost entirely an emerald green. "It's beautiful," said Emily. She then took a step forward and let out a gasp. "The gravity," she exclaimed. "I feel so light. How fun." "Be careful," he said, as she began bouncing across the silty surface, thrilled by her buoyancy. Using long bounding strides, Will followed and quickly caught up with her. "Isn't this great?" she said, effortlessly leaping high into the air. He agreed. It was exhilarating. "But we can do the same thing back on Wysteria," he reminded her. "It's different though," she said. "Here, I don't have to think about what I'm doing. I don't have to try." Again, Will concurred, but predicted that with time and practice, controlling their bodies would become more natural. "Are you going to build anything here?" Emily asked him. "This is your world," he replied. "You can do whatever you want with her." "I know," she said, flashing an appreciative smile. "It's a wonderful gift, but this is your creation, and I can't build." "Maybe you can learn." "I don't think it works that way, Will." "I learned to travel," he pointed out. "Not entirely on my own, yet. But still." "That's different," she said. "And you've learned to alter your body," he went on. "You didn't think you could do that." "True. But those things are possible." "Anything is possible," he asserted. Emily leaned forward and kissed his cheek. Will was about to respond when he noticed an impish glint in her eye. "Race you," she suddenly cried. "Cheater," he muttered, watching her spring across the arid field of gray. Okay, that concludes chapter 37, and we will return soon with chapter 38.